People line up for Donna Dooher's food at her famous Toronto restaurant, Mildred's Temple Kitchen, where dishes are original and exotic. But today, it's simple fare.
Hi, welcome. Come on in.
A family dinner, capped by an exquisite apple pie.
So the pie we're making today is actually in my cookbook. And this book I published, oh gosh, I don't know, 15, 16, maybe 20 years ago. But when I think of family, I think of a little book like this. This was one of my grandmother's many cookbooks or notebooks that she wrote her recipes down in. My mother also made a lot of pies. She cooked 3 meals a day for, well, there are 6 children, six wonderful children, and my mother and father. But we always had lots of stragglers at the table. We never were 8 sitting down. We were more like 10 or 12. On Sundays, it could go up to 20. But there was always room at our table. And my mother, she had a lot of rules, some which we broke. Some she was pretty adamant about, and one of them was, you must be home for dinner because we are going to eat together at the table. That was steadfast. You had to be there. I'm so glad that she made that part of our life as we were growing up as kids. We've all experienced this at the table. A seat, someone is missing at the table. A seat is empty at the table. And I think that is remarkable that it stays with us. I know when my father passed away, which is very recent, he was at the head of the table. That's where he sat, and that was his command post. And even in his later years, when his health was diminishing and he wasn't as present as he might have been years before that, we always saw this spark come when he sat at the table. But the first time we had dinner together as a family, and he wasn't at the table, it was very sad, but it was also very special. And you know, when I went to Lighthouse and I took a tour and I got to really hear about the work that they do there and understand the grieving process, especially for young children, it really struck a chord with me, because I can't imagine, I'm a grown woman, look at me. And these are tears of happiness. But I can't imagine for a young child to lose someone so close to you. It must be a terrible process to go through. And isn't it wonderful that that Lighthouse is there to help with that healing? I was really taken by the rooms at Lighthouse and all of these areas that they had created for dealing with different kinds of emotion that young children would be experiencing during the grieving process. The volcano room, where you could just sort of let it rip, let it go, you know, punch pillows or whatever. There was the hospital room, which was a recreation of a hospital room, because a lot of young children may have lost a parent or loved one in a hospital room, and just coming to terms with that and what that space represented to them, and going through that process of grieving. And I love the art room, because it was full of fabulous art, and children are so expressive, and art is so important in any aspect of our lives. We're all artists, and we need to let that nurture and come out. And then there's the pillow room, which was just getting to hug that person that you've lost close to you, and just knowing, well, they'll always be there. They'll always be there. And how do you process that? So I hadn't heard of Lighthouse before that tour. And I was delighted that I was introduced to Lighthouse, and I'm delighted to be here today to tell you about it and to encourage you, especially during this difficult time when fundraising has become a challenge for so many wonderful organizations that are doing such great work. But we need your support, and we need you to remember that the grieving process is still there, and maybe even more so than it was 6 months ago. So I encourage you today, please help Lighthouse. Thank you.